So this is a response to a video made by Garett from the channel over at Music, Books, Music, and Other Magic. Great channel. Garett's a great person. And he was asked, I think by a student or a former student, questions about his belief and his religion. And I thought those were interesting questions. And it's a topic I think about a lot. So I thought I would answer them now. Hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome to this video, which I talk about, my religious beliefs. I talk about politics on here all the time, so I figure I might as well break the other rule about not talking about religion and talk about religion. And, Garett's video was kind of the springboard for this. And I have a feeling that some of these questions are going to take longer than others. So the first question is, what is your religion? Well, this is complicated for me because I am probably most accurately described as an atheist or an agnostic. I do not believe that there is a God responsible for creation, directing our activities, controlling luck, who has set out one path towards any kind of thing that might involve salvation. I'm not sure I believe in anything, after life. For the most part, I would say no, I don't believe in an afterlife, and therefore I don't believe in a deity. But I do believe in something which probably counts as a spiritual belief. And this is one of those things that's going to sound incredibly cheesy when I say it. And I've tried to explain it on my channel once before and it didn't work out very well. But I'm going to go ahead and give it another shot now. So what I believe that we should treat as though it is God, in the sense that we try to follow its precepts and that we aspire to achieve the goal that sets out for us is love. So in that previous video, I said love is God. There's within the Christian faith, and I assume others, there's the, line that God is love. And I in that other video, I turned this on its head by saying love is God, or love should be God. Now, that sounds awfully woo-woo and kind of like a hippie thing, but all I mean, and I promise you, this is all I mean, is that we, as human beings, have a capacity for love. You can make that a chemical thing, you can make that a spiritual thing, you can make that a hybrid of those two things. But we have this capacity for love, and it's not unique necessarily to humans. I'm pretty sure Zelda loves me, okay, in the way that dogs love people. But we have this capacity for love. And I believe that humanity, individually, collectively, is at its best when it is aspiring to follow the dictates of love, to do what is best for others, to think about other people, to be charitable, to be giving, to be forgiving. That all these things we do out of love are the things that we do that are best. And the achievements we make from love are the things that we achieve that are best. These can be individual things, like a love for art. Michelangelo's love for painting and art achieved great things. It can have to do with humanity, raising a family, being a loving partner, being a loving friend. But those are the things we should aspire to be. And I don't think it has to be complicated beyond that. Now, as is true with any religious belief, I am probably a better proponent than I am a practitioner. I can't tell you that I respond to all situations in a loving, forgiving way, because that would not be true, but I aspire to do that. Those aspirations may be worthless, but that's what I aspire to do. And that's the person I aspire to be. And so, for lack of something else to call it, I would call that my religion. I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of things to work through in my own past and my own behavior, and continue on to today. But that's my aspiration. So that's how I define my religion. So question 2 is, do you think religion has had a positive or a negative impact on society? This is a much tougher question for me as somebody who has studied history, as it was for Garett, and I think then might be true for other people, because there are a lot of very good things that religion has brought us. It has, and has been used in the past to establish a sense of order, which allowed for the progress of civilization. It is responsible in the case of, Catholic monasteries in Ireland and other places for preserving information and knowledge from ancient Rome. This would be true in the Muslim faith as well, and in all others. It inspires art, it inspires literature, it has inspired music, it has inspired architecture, and all of those things that I think that we revere from the past oftentimes have this religious connection. Most of, I believe all of Michelangelo's, since I'm on that topic, all of Michelangelo's major works have religious themes. And so to me, that means that there has been a positive. But if we're talking about society and we're talking about historically, as everyone will tell you, religion has been responsible for all kinds of wars and all kinds of justification for all kinds of horrible things in which humanity has harmed other human beings. And so despite all the positives I believe it has, and despite knowing a fair few Christians and other religious people who are really great people who live their lives in really admirable ways, I think on the whole, it has been a detriment to society. Having said that, again, let me go back. I'm not sure we have a society without some kind of religious belief at some point. Question 3, do you think stories are important? So now that I'm reading the questions, I'm reminded of what the top this was, kind of a connection between religion and stories. And yes, I think stories are important. As a historian, what I spend my time doing is researching and writing stories about things that have happened in the past and people who lived in the past. And the simple truth of the matter is that we don't have anything to talk about unless we're telling a story. Everything you see is a story. Even a TikTok in which somebody is dancing is telling a story. It's telling a story about popular culture. It's telling at that moment. It's telling a story about that person's commitment to learning dance steps. Whatever it is, it's telling a story. And human beings, one of the things I think that separates us from most of the species as far as we know, is our ability to tell stories and to use stories as a repository of knowledge. Everything has history. Everything is history. People say, don't live in the past. We all live in the past all the time. All of our memories are things in the past. The stories we tell one another are things in the past. The fiction we write is oftentimes based on things in our past or our collective past or something else. That is where we live. And so, if religion played a role in establishing our society, establishing societies, then religion is based on stories, and those stories then are sometimes at the root of our societies and our civilization, whether it's Buddhism or Taoism or Shintoism or Hinduism or Christianity or Islam. Stories are at the root of that. And I think the proof of that is that almost every world religion has some kind of sacred text, some kind of writing around which it is organized. And that writing is simply stories. Think about the Gospels in Christianity. Those are the story of the life of Christ. That's what they are. And so I think stories are incredibly important. And I think stories are the foundation, essentially, of what we think of as human civilization. Even the, cave paintings of the, ancient people who made those cave paintings are telling stories about their lives, the things that were important, the things they noticed, the things that they interacted with on a regular basis. That's, all a story. So question 4, I think, is there a character that has had an impact on your life? But I think I miswrote that. I think that is there a story that has had an impact on your life? And I'm going to go with something I mention all the time, the books I was obsessed with when I was, a very young person, around the age of 12 through around the age of 18 or 19. And those are the Lord of the Rings stories. I think those stories had an impact on my life in the idea that they shaped some of the very basic ideas I think that I have. One is that the differences between people across racial lines, or in the case of the Lord of the Rings, across, the lines between elves and dwarves or whatever, that those don't matter. That, just as Gimli and Legolas formed a friendship across lines that were fairly rigid, dividing elves and dwarves, that those things shouldn't matter. And those things don't matter if we don't let them matter. I think the story, and particularly the story of the Fellowship of the Ring, is a story of a group of people working together to achieve something. And I believe that, that oftentimes is where we are at our best, when we're working with others to achieve something. I think, the overall kind of theory or story behind the hobbits is that, small people or people who live basic, non-great lives can still do important things. And I believe that to be true. And I wonder how much my belief in all these things came from my reading of the Lord of the Rings, and maybe, quite separate than perhaps what Tolkien intended, what I got out of those books. So I would say, yeah, I'm not out there living my life like a hobbit or something like that. But if we're just talking about those basic ideas, I think those books reinforced the importance of those ideas to me. The subsumation of the individual for the collective. I think that's something that I have a tendency to still believe in. So I would say yes, in kind of maybe kind of in a reinforcing way. And then I think question number 5 is, do you identify with any character? And I'm going to say the truth of the matter is no. There isn't a character that I identify with that I think is like me or that I've tried to be like. I reserve that for people in my actual life, primarily my father, somebody who I wish I lived more like and was more like. And then, they kind of set an aspirational goal for what I should be as a person, but, not probably a character. Anyway, there you go. There are me answering the questions kind of around the idea of what I believe based on religion and stories. Hopefully this doesn't, spark any real outrage or angry response, but I look forward to any comments you have in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching.